Cropping in Photoshop CS6 has gotten some interesting changes, which seem to be a hit or miss amongst users. The crop tool can be located on your tools bar on the left, or by pressing the letter C on your keyboard. When the tool is activated, you'll now see the crop handles surround the image. There are a few features to take note of with the crop tool. On the options bar at the top of your workspace, the first drop-down will give you a few options as to the aspect ratio of the crop. By default, your crop is set to unconstrained, which means you're free to drag any of the crop handles to simply chop off an unwanted area of your photo. You'll notice that when you drag your crop handles, the area of the image that will remain visible stays centered on your workspace. And just like on previous versions of Photoshop, the area that will be removed is slightly darkened. If you find yourself having a hard time getting used to the auto-centered preview, you can turn it on or off under the gear icon on your options bar. This area also allows you to turn on classic mode, which mimics what you're used to from Photoshop CS5. Going back to the aspect ratios, one of the options available to you is original ratio, which means if the image was taken with a 4:6 aspect ratio, if you were to drag any of your handles inwards, the final crop will remain 4:6. This is very useful if you specifically shot your images at a certain aspect ratio and don't want to stray away from it. Photoshop also includes many of the common aspect ratios which photographers tend to use. Selecting any of them will resize the crop area to match that ratio. The crop tool also gives you the option to rotate your image if you so choose. Moving your cursor outside the crop area will activate your rotate tool. You'll notice that your cursor has changed into curved arrows. Holding down your mouse button and dragging will rotate the image. This is one area of the crop tool that some users will find difficult to get used to. Instead of the crop area rotating like it did in Photoshop CS5, in CS6 the image rotates to give you a live preview of what your final result will look like. This may take some time getting used to, but once you do, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. At this point, if you're happy with the way the image is looking inside the crop area, you can either press the check mark on your options bar to apply the crop, or you can use your return or enter key on your keyboard. What's really nice about the new crop tool is that by default, Photoshop stores what you decided not to keep, just in case you change your mind later on. Going back to the crop tool, if you click on the crop area, you can adjust the crop if needed. If, of course, you want to be completely destructive with your edit, checking off Delete Crop Pixels on your options bar will permanently delete everything outside the crop area when you apply the crop. Be careful. The last area of the crop tool I want to touch on is straighten. Many times I found myself taking a picture of a horizon only to realize that I took the picture on an angle. Instead of rotating the image and guessing if I corrected the mistake, I can now click on the straighten button on the options bar and then draw a line across my horizon. Photoshop will use that line to correct the image. To see what else is new in Photoshop CS6, head over to iceflowstudios.com. Take care.